your very neighborhood.
The world's falling apart here, you know.
Oi! Have you seen what's going on?
It's a madness.
I've just seen a demented.
Oh, yes.
I don't think I can do this.
You got this, man. Come on. Come on.
I'm taking a wolf.
Wait.
It's a broken!
Was that?
No way.
Ladies and gentlemen, be sure to have your eyes peeled, your ears open, and your wands ready. And please welcome to our stage, Swiftdoor.
Hey, welcome everyone. Hi, and welcome to the Wizards Unite and the future of augmented reality in gaming. Glad you guys are here. Let's introduce our panelists. First up, let's see here, the VP and studio head of Warner Brothers Games San Francisco, Jonathan Knight. Come on down. Right on.
How you doing?
So, dude, I think about stand for a bit. Or you can sit, be comfortable. Why not?
Should I stand?
Sure, one of us should be comfortable. No. All right, next up, Executive Director for Products at WB Games San Francisco, Mary Casey. Right on. Next up, Director of Product Marketing at Niantic, Archie oh my God, he's gonna kill me. Archie Bargava. Oh, dude.
You got it.
I will make five butter beers for you, man, I promise. Wow.
Good.
My bad, dude. And next up, Product Manager at Niantic, Alex Moffat. All right, now, before we get started, I need to get a sense of like the chemistry between all of us here. So, first things first, in the world of Harry Potter at Hogwarts, students are sorted into like different houses, and I'd like to know how many of you guys know what house you're in? A lot of you guys. All right, so let's do a quick count. So raise your hand for fellow Gryffindor. A lot of you guys. Alex guessed this, by the way. And next up, Slytherin. House Slytherin, where you at? Oh, wow, Slytherin's loud. All right, Hufflepuff, where you at? Louder. All right, and finally, Ravenclaw. Very impressed. All right, and I'm gonna have a seat, but Jonathan, how about you? How about we go down the line here?
Ravenclaw.
Ravenclaw.
Yeah.
All right, nice. Mary?
Slytherin, no
Slytherin.
shame.
All right. Archie?
Slytherin!
Oh! And I know about my boy Alex over there.
I'm a cliche. Gryffindor.
Yeah, there we go. All right, cool. So let's kick off the magic. First things first, question for you, Jonathan. So can you just tell us a little about Warner Bros. Games?
Yeah, WB Games. So really excited to be here. I run a studio called WB Games San Francisco, and we, really excited about this project. We actually created recently a whole games label called Portkey Games, which is really dedicated to creating these experiences where the player is at the center of the wizarding world and their own journey and their own story. So that was a big step forward. And then we established the studio where we're building all the design and art and animation and effects and experience in partnership with this incredible company, Niantic. So it's been a real dream come true for us.
Very cool. And Portkeys actually play a role in the game. We'll get to that later. Pretty cool. And next up, Archie. So how about Niantic, man? Can you tell us a little bit about Niantic?
Yeah, Niantic is a company that basically builds technology experiences and a platform that basically does three things: gets people outside to explore, gets people walking, i.e. exercise, and finally gets people playing with other people in the real world. So our first game was Ingress, which we launched in 2012. Next up came Pokemon Go. Any Pokemon Go players in the audience?
Yes. Oh, yes.
And we're so stoked to launch Harry Potter Wizards Unite, co-developing and co-publishing with Warner Bros. Games. So super excited to be here.
Right on. So, but you guys, are known for Ingress, Pokemon Go, these real-world games. Can you tell us what is a real-world game?
Yeah, so real-world games are basically games that get you up and about. So we knew that there's a lot of research that basically says that a lot of adults and kids don't get enough exercise. So, when you think of a typical gamer, you're often in front of a console, in front of a TV, sort of playing your game on the couch. And for us, the idea was, what if you could get people up and about, get them moving? And there's so many benefits to movement, right? It's a warm, sunny day, you're out in a park, you got those endorphins going. That's fun. For us, it was, can we have a game? Can we have something that's kind of whispering out there, like saying, hey, come here, there's a fun experience to be had. And we, with that insight, launched Ingress and then Pokemon Go. And players around the world have been telling us that, hey, there's an adventure in my own neighborhood. Or I actually met someone playing the game, started dating, got married, had kids. All these incredible side effects. We've also had a bunch of people send in letters, people coming out of depression, people having reduced instances of agoraphobia. So there's just so many benefits to walking, and if a game can get you to walk a little bit more, that's a good thing.
Absolutely, and I can agree to that. I moved to a new neighborhood. First thing I did was find players playing Pokemon on the streets. It was just very easy to kind of build those friendships immediately, which was great. And so, question for Alex. I mean, how has developing real-world augmented reality games changed over the past few years? You guys have been doing it for a while, so how have things kind of evolved?
Well, to Arch's point, we had these three pillars to start with, right? Exploration, exercise, real world, social. They were kind of guesses, right? They were purely on principle. Maybe there was some scientific research at the outset that said, okay, this could work in theory. We didn't really know. Turns out it did work. And so what's changed a lot for us is how do we double down on these things that we know to be super successful? So if it's something like exercise, it's now bigger for us. It's how do we make people just have a healthier lifestyle overall? And so actually for Pokemon Go recently, we announced the Pokemon Go ++ that actually now is trying to help people improve their sleep habits and use that as part of the game. So I think that's another interesting foray to just broaden it.
Right.
And then when it comes to exploration, the cool thing is all the locations that you see in our games, whether they're inns, fortresses, and Wizards Unite, whether they're gyms or Pokestops and Go, those are submitted by players, right? And so we think that there are super interesting places out there in the world that don't show up in most maps or most Atlas type places. And so players are actually going to tell us, where's this really cool hyper-local spot that I know about that I would bring my family to or friends to if they were visiting from out of town, a place that has a cool story, a place that maybe has some really unique hidden artwork, right? And so that data set is continually growing as more and more players start to play our games, uncover new places in their neighborhoods, and want to share that back. So that's continuously evolving. And then the last piece that I think has been the biggest learning for us is that real-world social part, right? We had a hunch that, okay, if we could get people to play and have to interact face to face, actually make eye contact with one another, they might play more and they might have more fun. We totally underestimated the impact of this, right? And so now we've taken that out of the game experience, brought it in game. So there are basic social features within all of our games at this point, right, to really crystallize the friendships people are making. But then we also have these broad community day type experiences, at least within Pokemon Go, that actually get people out and about at the exact same time of day. They congregate, see each other, have a ton of fun playing together. And so we want to keep doing more of the same there. And that dovetails all the way into big events like GoFest.
Right.
Where, you have 60,000 people showing up in Chicago. And we couldn't be more excited about Wizards Unite, right? Because if you think about Harry Potter and all the fans and super fans out there, there are naturally these huge communities of Potter fans meeting up as is. Now let's actually put a game in their hands too. So we think it's a perfect fit for that as well.
Yeah, no, it's awesome. And I'm still begging my local Ingress Pro for a Pokestop on top of my house. I'm not there yet, but I'm working on it. But as far as the augmented reality tech itself, how has that kind of improved over the years as well?
Yeah, so there's a lot of foundational work that's gone into and everything we do is augmented reality, right? Like our CEO, John, talks about augmented reality is connecting the atoms of the real world with any sort of bits that lay over the top. So even our map is a form of augmented reality in a way. But obviously when we talk about AR specifically, we're talking more about the simultaneous localization and mapping using a camera of the stuff right in front of you, right? Detecting, is this a chair in front of you? Where's the floor? Where are these walls? It's a really hard space to deal with, tons of hard problems. And most of the work that we've done recently has just been making sure that everybody can experience a really fun, I don't want to say basic, but core AR experience. Whether you're on an Android device, an iOS device, we can all see the same things. We can all have these really rich, immersive encounters in Wizards Unite. And we think that sets a stage for now, okay, well, what if we could experience the same thing at the same time, right? That's obviously where things are going. And so it's a lot of preparatory work, I would
Absolutely,
say.
and it pays off. There's a lot of cool stuff you guys do in Wizards Unite. But how about we take a moment to actually check out some gameplay? I'm not sure if everyone here has played yet, but if you haven't, how about we check out the trailer? There is so much to do in that game. I'm level 12, by the way. I've been working it. But Jonathan, question for you. I mean, what's been the approach for you and your team? And hang on, this is a mouthful. In creating a new real-world, augmented reality, Wizarding World mobile experience.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a big question. So when we set out to start building this game, I mean, obviously, we were I think somewhat daunted in the beginning by the task of fulfilling this fantasy for Harry Potter fans of kind of a real-world game. We stuck to kind of three big pillars, which I'll hit on briefly, that I would say guided the development of the game really from start to finish and beyond as we launched the game. So, number one for us was what we called the magic is all around you. So obviously that's a big part of the game that, and what we love about Harry Potter is there's kind of this thin line between the real world and the Wizarding world, and you sort of see that in the way the films are treated, and obviously it's in the books. And so that just felt like a really natural fit. We all kind of believe deep down we've got a little magic in us, and that we could go through that brick wall. So that really hit on everything to do with the map and the way that we approached kind of your neighborhood being different from mine, and everybody kind of having their own Wizarding World experience. So that's magic's all around you. I think the next big pillar, building out the game, was about realizing your wizarding potential. And Mary can talk about this better than I can, but if you'll notice when you download the game, one of the first things you do is create a ministry ID card. And you're joining the task force, you're becoming part of the ministry, and it's not about creating an avatar that's not you. It's literally about putting yourself, and so we call it the selfie avatar, and you can take a photo and video of yourself and wear the scarf, and the technology is really cool. But it's deliberate. It was really, we wanted to put players at the center of the fantasy. It's their story. They're really the wizard. They're really the protagonist of this. And then the final pillar is called Stronger United, which in some ways is the most important pillar. There's a famous Dumbledore quote. It's in the title of the game, if you hadn't noticed. And we really want people to come together in a collaborative experience. So we built out at Fortresses, we built out these wizarding challenges, and they're really fun. We all played earlier.
Yeah, that was a blast. We all went out like in the live. We were like doing dungeon. The Fortress was awesome.
Yeah, and they're really fun, unique, sort of simultaneous, synchronous multiplayer battles. But the most important thing for us is that like the books, like the movies, it's about people coming together. It's about friendship. It's about solving problems. It's not about fighting each other. It's about uniting. And so that was really the third pillar that drove the development.
Awesome. And Mary, what was the most exciting thing about creating this augmented reality, magic, wizards infused world?
Yeah, I think for me in particular, augmented reality in of itself allowed us to do things that we wouldn't or couldn't necessarily be able to do in a traditional game. And that goes from some of the real core of what the franchise meant to me, which was Harry and I were almost the exact same age, and I went through that amazing experience of being around when the books were launching, reading each one in turn, waiting a year or two to find out what was going to happen. And there was a huge amount of excitement and meeting people and coming together and being at those book launches. And I wanted to pull a little bit of that thread. Obviously, nothing can recreate what is really a seminal period in history for Harry Potter fans. But for me, it was trying to pull that thread a little bit. And that meant augmented reality in terms of turning your neighborhood into a wizarding world, bringing people together, allowing opportunities to meet people, and also for things like the selfie avatar. I've been a wizard forever. I don't know what happened to my letter, but maybe there was a storm or something, I don't know. But I've had that inside of me, this magic inside of me, and finally I can get to put myself in there, and the team calls it first-person wizard. I think for me, a lot of that type of thing that we would just not be able to do in another medium.
Right. So it sounds like your vision was really take that passion for wizardry and being a wizard and put it in the game, make it feel like you are a wizard.
Yeah, I think from my perspective, when we really looked at the incredible world that J.K. Rowling had created, we were looking at what does it mean to be a fan, and it was more than just liking the characters or thinking the story was really cool, though obviously those things were really important. It was really about how Harry Potter made you feel. And for me, as a young person growing up in kind of a weird fishing village in England, it made me feel that possibilities were limitless, that I had a place that, all of my friends, no matter what they were like or who they were they a Luna, were they a Draco, were they a Neville, they had a part and a role to play, and that was important. And so the vision for the game was to really recreate that feeling more so than recreate a one-to-one, and also give the opportunity for a player to have their own part to play, their own adventure, their own story. And that story is obviously played through the narrative of the game and the mysteries and the different things you can unravel and find. But it's also the story of you and your neighborhood and the people you meet, and maybe your story ends with you marrying the cute person you meet at your local fortress. But I think weaving those things together, the real world and the magical world, is probably the complete vision.
Awesome. And so back to the game, what kind of unique things can you do in Wizards Unite? What kind of unique gameplay does it bring to the franchise, this real world AR?
Well, I'm sure all of you have played a ton. But if you haven't, I think what you'll find is a lot of different aspects of being a wizard. Obviously, we talk about this almost journey. You come to the game, you use our Ministry ID feature to create your profile picture, and also you register your wand and all your house and all the other different aspects of being a wizard. Put your beard or your hair on, and also move through,
Don't worry, I got you.
and then move through things that are, to me, super exciting. One of my favorite features is that scattered throughout the world are these potion ingredients. You can go on a nature walk. They're tied to all sorts of different things that are pulled direct from Niantic's real-world platform, like time of day and moon phase and weather. And then you can use those to brew a potion in a cauldron and then use that potion. So that's just one tiny thing. And then we go through to things like just encountering all of this incredible depth and breadth of the franchise, from Fantastic Beasts to obviously our Harry Potter arc, and seeing those again and being back in that world again. And then also fortresses, which is a huge innovation for Wizards Unite. These great meeting places where you can come together and really battle these foes with your friends and help each other out and have these interplay between Aura, Magic Zoologist, Professor. And I hope soon that when we ask what your house is, we also start asking what your profession is, and then that's something people feel really strongly about because, Magic Zoologist for life. And then we also start getting into things like greenhouses, allowing you to grow and support, your neighborhood with like cool different ingredients and other stuff. And there's just so much to talk about that I'm probably going to get.
Oh, right, yeah. So no, definitely like a lot to do. And on that point, I want to ask Jonathan, like, someone picks up, like Wizards Unite for the first time, they might feel like, wow, there's like, a lot going. This is a lot deeper experience than I expected. Like, Mary's already kind of went into some of it, but can you give like an overview of like what people kind of like, expect in the game?
Yeah, I think
like
one of the
doing?
Yeah, sure. No, I think one of the great things about the game that we're really proud of is that it starts out. I think it is for everybody, and it's a very easy game to get into. And you explore the world around you. You'll encounter a lot of nostalgic Harry Potter content, and you'll set up your Ministry ID card and declare your house. And I think you can kind of get out with friends and family, kids, adults, and start having a good time. And you're filling out, your registry collection. But really, as you play deeper into it, we wanted to make sure that there was kind of a forever game there, and it evolves and it sort of transitions into what we might call like an RPG, and you choose a profession and you go quite deep, and there's a set of skill trees, and so the game really becomes more and more involved, and as you kind of realize your wizard potential. So I think that's like the one thing I would want to leave with folks is that it has this very broad appeal, but for the more you kind of put into the game, the more it gives back, and there's a lot of depth there.
Awesome. Yeah, I just want to note out some of my favorite features. You can prestige your collections, and you can also max out all three like skill trees, which is like awesome. So all three like classes. So that I think is really neat. But back to you, Mary. I'm just fanboying of it. But
we talked about that a lot.
yes,
I designed those, so
I salute you, Mary. So Mary, Jonathan's already talked about the three pillars a little bit. I don't know if you want to add like any more onto that, like what the three pillars were, or if you feel like we've covered it. Like,
I feel like we've covered that, and I think that there's so much to talk about that it would be.
Sure. Yeah. So then, so there's obviously like a lot of layers to the game, including the backstory. Can you tell us a little about like the narrative? Can you give some details of like how like where this all takes place and how like where we are in the game?
Absolutely. So from a professional and personal standpoint, getting to work on the narrative for this game is just going to be a highlight and something I'll remember forever. So I hope you're all enjoying it. But essentially, as you can see from the videos or if you play the game, a calamity has befallen the wizarding world. Everything near, dear, feared, revered. I've definitely said that before. Has been, throughout the history of the wizarding world, has been scattered throughout the Muggle world, and Hermione, Harry, and the Ministry of Magic have created the Statute of Secrecy Task Force to mobilize all wizards, no matter where you are, to come together to find these foundables, named because you find them. We thought that was super clever. And overcome the confoundable magic and return the foundable back for its rightful place. Now, obviously, why is this happening? And it seems that the British Ministry of Magic seems to be the epicenter of that. Why is that? What's going on? And so a lot of the story really discusses, at first, just the what is going on. And then later goes into why is this going on, and the main feature that tells this narrative is the mysteries, which is its own registry. You'll be able to find mystery objects throughout the world, and each one will tell a little piece of the backstory and include some discussion from some of your favorite characters.
Yeah, I love seeing Harry Potter talk with the other characters, and the writing's really good. So I'm really impressed with that. But my question for Alex now is as someone on this task force, how do you actually navigate through the gaming world?
Well, literally, you have to move. That's a key part of our games. And back to the original Ingress days, a meme that we talk about all the time is players would file support tickets saying, how do I move my avatar? It's stuck, right? And so thankfully, we don't have to deal with that as much. People kind of understand these games now and realize you are the character, right? And you almost think back to some of the principles that JK was outlining. This is about realizing your wizarding potential. You are at the center of this experience. So you're going to be moving about in your own neighborhood. And the cool thing is we have positioned all these interesting objects and things for you to discover that pull you along the way, right? And so you immediately open up the game, and guess what? That favorite cafe of yours on the corner, it's a wizarding inn, right? And so now it's inviting you to come check it out, explore, and the game starts to unfold just as you naturally move through your normal walks and haunts, so to speak. But to that point, what we really like about the game and like about building this style of game in general is that the real world is super interesting. Right? It's actually a really great game board to build on top of. We think it gives us a ton of material and ton of fun things to play with. And so we're trying to use all the stuff that it does have to offer, whether it's moon phase, weather, time of day, all these interesting things that actually happen to you. Those impact your gameplay experience. Right? And so you can imagine there might be a certain thing that comes out on a full moon that isn't there otherwise, right? And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Everything you encounter has some sort of logic behind it, tied to the real world. And that's more fun, right? Because now as you go out and play, and maybe you're short a leaping toadstool for the latest potion you're about to brew, we want you to stop and think, well, where would I find leaping toadstool? In my neighborhood, right? And so you scratch your chin, and then maybe you open up the game and go to someplace and do find it. That's an incredible and magical experience to have. So we're trying to create as many opportunities for that as we can.
Very cool, yeah, so I can attest to that. Going out at night, there's more nefarious bad guys around. When it's raining, I can go out and actually get more like buckets of water. So it's very cool to see weather and the time of day play an impact on the game. And so how about the landmarks? Is there any more you want to speak about? Speak to that?
Yeah, so this is a great example. So there's a type of object that you'll find on the map, or an area on the map, that we call a landmark. And the origin of these landmarks is a bit mysterious. It has something to do with this calamity that's ensued. But it seems as if some of these foundables clump together and have some affinity or affiliation with certain types of places around the world. And so we're excited that players are already starting to figure out why they're more likely to find certain foundables in these locations. But they're great because they're pretty iconic. People will recognize this is my favorite local neighborhood park. This might have something to do with why I'm seeing more care of magical creatures type foundables showing up. And so we think that people are naturally going to congregate at these places and then start to think about, well, where are the other ones, and go and seek those out too.
That's awesome. I live across the street from one, landmark, and it's awesome.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, very lucky.
You're welcome.
So Archie, question for you, man. What makes exploring in Harry Potter Wizards Tonight so fun?
Yeah, I mean, Alex was talking about landmarks. For those of you that haven't played the game yet, you'll see these sort of flagpoles, and you tap on those, and it tells you what that landmark is, and it also kind of highlights that area, so you know a certain type of content or foundable will be found in that location. And let's say you live in Culver City, and you've been playing in Culver City a lot, and you realize that you just keep seeing the same type of stuff. So you have to explore. You have to move to a different neighborhood. And I know LA traffic is horrible and whatnot, but go to Venice. Find a different type of foundable, and that is one of the things. So the way the landmarks, as Alex was saying, are distributed, it's inspired by real-world geography and ecology. So that is one thing that makes it fun. If you boot up Wizards Unite, and you'll see fortresses in the distance. For some of the fortresses, you'll see these shiny, glowy kind of effects. And what that means is there's a wizarding challenge going on there. So you might actually make new friends. You could help someone level up yourself. So exploration in this game is obviously delightful because of what you encounter, what you see. Alex mentioned this earlier, but the inns and fortresses that you find in this game are typically in pretty cool locations, which our player base kind of help us curate. So historical markers, art installations, statues, post offices, just places that we probably walk by and we don't realize, we don't stop and think, wait, someone was commissioned to put that there. That's cool. So it's all these hidden, we call them serendipitous discoveries that you might have as you go about playing the game and just learn a little bit about your own city. So yeah, I love walking the breadth of San Francisco, playing and just catching a lot more of stuff.
So it sounds like discovery is a key thing. So the reason you don't want players just sitting in bed and playing all day is you want them to kind of get out there. Is that the importance of players having to explore and discover and wander?
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if maybe I'll tease something. At some point there might be certain foundables that you only find in certain countries or certain areas or regions or whatever. So I think it makes a lot of there's a lot of incentive for you to play the game when you're traveling the world. It's a great way to see a new city. You'll often notice that some of the iconic locations in that city would be fortresses and inns in the game. So highly recommend exploring with the game.
Awesome. Okay, I want to learn about these these foundables that are elsewhere before I make my next trips. Very cool. Mary, Jonathan. So one of the coolest parts about the game is you get to be a wizard. So what are some of the cool features of the game that make this experience so unique in Wizards Unite?
You want to talk about the Ministry ID card, maybe? I don't know.
Yeah. It's one of those. Being a wizard is one of those things that took longer to determine than one would think. And for me and our design team, there was really a lot of discussion about how to be a wizard and what being a wizard meant. And it really boiled down to quite an annoying thing, which was diversity and the ability to choose your own path. And so a lot of what we've put in is to create an ecosystem where players could come together and play together, but also feel unique and interesting. And some of those we've drawn directly from the Wizarding World. So port keys is a particular favorite feature of mine. So as you're walking around, you'll find these port key portmanteaus. After you've walked with them and explored them a little bit, they're open. You'll be able to touch them, and they'll transport you directly into some of those Wizarding World locations that you know and love. So in the trailer, I think we saw Umbridge's office and Borgin and Burke's and Honeydukes. And so for me, I've been talking about when I was a kid a lot. I think it's this franchise, but also I have Peter Pan syndrome. But when I was a kid, there wasn't. I had an amazing childhood, but there wasn't necessarily the money to have these big American holidays where you go to a cool theme park and there's burgers are this big. That's what I thought America was when I was a kid. Anyway. Depends where you are. But, and so one of the things I really love about Port Keys is it gives anybody, any kid, any grown-up, any forever kid like myself, the ability to have that experience of just being transported somewhere else. You can go straight into Hagrid's hut and there's soup bubbling on the fire. You probably wouldn't want to eat it, but it's there. You can look out the window and see Hogwarts. And the first time we made that, and someone put a phone in my hand, and I did that, it was a teary-eyed moment for me. It was something new and interesting, and I felt like a wizard. And I think also the fortress battles for me and the oddities battles, when it's you and a vampire or you and a werewolf, it really echoes those amazing moments like Voldemort and Dumbledore in the Ministry of Magic atrium, really firing spells at each other. And so there's a lot of different things from kind of the little marginal potion stuff where I'm kind of stirring potions and looking what ingredients I have and thinking about going out while it's drizzling so I can get morning dew, through to some of the big moments of being a wizard. So yeah, I think that there's a diversity aspect to the game, and I think no matter what type of wizard you are, you can find something in the game that kind of echoes how you personally bring your magic.
Absolutely. Even just earlier today, I think it was just Alex hanging back, and he was like the healer in like the fortress while you were in there doing the battling. It was like such a cool thing. He didn't have to go in there and do any attacks. He was just like, he was healing from like looking over the entire battlefield. It was just a very, very cool thing. But as there are a lot of diehard Harry Potter fans out there, and you're one of them, like, what makes the game authentic to this wizarding world?
Oh my God. I hope when you play the game that you experience just the love and care that we've put in. And we're obsessional about Harry Potter to a level that is probably a little bit frightening. And
We've hired people who have Harry Potter as like on their resume.
yeah,
basically,
they're like Harry Potter fan
as a thing.
As a thing, like interests Harry Potter. Yeah, it's like hired.
Anyone interested?
Yeah. Resumes after. I did this super difficult Harry Potter test. It was like 35 questions, and they were like super obscure. And like my team like just blasted through them. And so we're definitely, although they don't let me play Harry Potter trivia anymore. They were like, I'm banned. I think for us, it's just like, if you go into the potions ingredients and you tap on any potion, it'll tell you a huge amount of lore about that. If you're in your foundable registry, there's so much there. I feel like there's an authenticity to the way that characters speak to each other, and like it was really gratifying to say that you kind of enjoyed the narrative, because a huge amount of effort has gone into creating a diverse cast of characters who talk and feel and act like wizards and it's obviously very difficult when you're writing things for Harry or Hermione or Ron, but I feel like we've done a really excellent job. And if you haven't played or you're playing for the first time, please try it with headphones, because I think the sound for that is really great. And then I think from my perspective, yeah, we are diehard fans, but also we know that not everybody is. Like, you can just have seen one movie or be like, what is this Harry Potter craziness? And there's cool stuff in there, things that you'll recognize if you've only seen one movie. But then there are things that you'll recognize if you read one of the, small companion novels that came out, or if you're a diehard Fantastic Beasts fan. So I think from my perspective, it was trying to get as much of the depth and breadth of the Wizarding World experience into the game. And also, this authenticity is a hard thing to define, but when I launch the game and I hear that music and I see that owl fly in and my wizard appears on the map, and then I hear this ding, and I go in, and then Sirius Black is there, and then there's a Dementor, and I hear that noise and I can walk around it, I feel like a wizard, and it's pretty cool. And I have a pretty high bar of feeling like a wizard, but I hope all of you guys feel like a witch or wizard when you play.
There we go. Yeah, I mean, and just the back there, if you play with the sound off usually, make sure you turn it on if you can. It's so well done, and the sound, well done there. So Jonathan, Mary, anything else you want to tell us about the game before we move on?
Oh wait, what am I allowed to say? I want to tell a lot, and JK's looking at me what are you going to say?
Share a little bit with us. It's okay. No secret here and there. No.
So one of the next things that people have been asking for, and may have noticed from a small test event that we did in Australia, is that in-game events are coming, and these are going to be very, very regular, and there'll be cool changes to you. So Fantastic Flora and Fauna is our first, and we'll really vary up the type of foundables you see, new registry pages, and new narrative alongside those. So those are kind of gearing up, and you should be able to experience them soon. And then John Henke, the CEO of Niantic, one of the most amazing and visionary people, announced at our event last week that we are expecting a real-world event as well. So in-game events, real-world events, all sorts of events are coming. It is definitely going to be an exciting summer for Wizards Unite.
Awesome. Yeah. But very excited for events. So Archie, we're about to talk about one of my favorite, most impressive things in the game, to me anyway. So on the advanced augmented reality front, there's a lot going on in Wizards Unite, but I just want to first explain, my experience with, in Pokemon Go, you get an egg, you incubate it, You walk X kilometers, and surprise, maybe you get a baby Pokemon, hopefully. But in Wizards Unite, you have port keys. So, and port keys work. They blew my mind. But do you want to tell us a little bit about the advanced AR that Harry Potter Wizards Unite pulls off?
Sure. Mary talked quite a bit about port keys. How many of you have tried a port key already in the game? So a few people. The port key experience is basically just like in the story. A port key is a way by which you can kind of teleport yourself from location A to location B. And the idea that the team had was, how about we leverage the power of AR, the magic of AR, to actually set up this portal right in front of you that you can actually physically walk into and literally through your phone see this cool environment, be it Hagrid's hut or any other iconic location within the Wizarding World. And we've been investing in our AR platform, and that tech cross-platform compatibility really helped us create this really cool experience. Thank you. And when we launched Pokemon, when we launched Pokemon Go, obviously this was it's in its infancy, and we've learned a ton across the months and years, and all of that learning was brought into Harry Potter Wizards Unite from day one. So this notion of being able to walk around an AR character, baked into Harry Potter Wizards Unite from day one. So any foundable that you see, you can take a step back, walk all around it, just see how it interacts. Those type of features came into Pokemon Go way after launch. So obviously we've learned a ton, and there's so much more coming. So
awesome.
Very, very excited.
Very cool. And yeah, if you guys haven't yet, get that port key, walk the 2 to 10 kilometers, open that portal and walk through. It blew my mind. It was really cool. Seriously, I was like, wow. But all right, but moving on, sorry. I've also been seeing a lot of AT&T inns and fortresses, especially here today. So can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Yeah, so we're super excited to announce that AT&T is a partner of Harry Potter Wizards Unite. So more than 10,000 AT&T physical retail locations across the US have been transformed into inns and fortresses. You'll get high rewards. You'll be able to see some really awesome foes. And in many cases, there's actually these fun build-outs that AT&T has done. So you can see a physical fortress like the one you probably saw outside, bunch of posters, recruiting posters. Yeah, just like that. Go. So yeah, we're pretty excited with this partnership, and lots more to come.
I really like the extra energy too. That's cool.
Yeah.
But awesome. Guys, thank you very much for sharing all this. Well, love the game. Seriously, I'm going to go out there and just play immediately after this. I want to thank all of you guys for joining us tonight, this afternoon. So thank you very much. Go out there and play. It's awesome. Cool. There you guys.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. If you are leaving Soundstage 26, please take all your belongings with you. There is no re-entry after leaving the theater. Thank you.